You set big goals for 2026. You can feel it. They're calling you. But if you don't know where to begin, those goals will stay stuck in your head. That's why I created Deck the Chaos, Plan 2026 like a boss. This isn't fluff. This isn't another hype session, but it is a working retreat where we'll roll up our sleeves, say thank you to 2025, cut through the noise that's happening now, and turn your big vision into a clear, doable plan, complete with quarterly check-ins and January steps that you could actually follow. It's happening live on October 18th, so be sure to save your seat over at thecalico.com/ducksretreat and step into 2026 with clarity, energy, and momentum that lasts all year long. See you over there.
Ever wonder what it really takes to build a business and a life that feels like yours? Welcome to That Big CEO Energy. I'm Callie, entrepreneur, operations whiz, and your go-to for the real, raw, and unfiltered side of business and life. Because let's be honest, entrepreneurship isn't just about strategy and success. It's about figuring out who you are in the messy middle, trying new things, well, just because you can, and creating a life that actually fits you. From solo deep dives to candid convos with powerhouse business owners, we're talking all about the highs and the lows and the why did no one warn me about this moments that come while chasing big dreams. So let's get uncomfortable, embrace the chaos, and make it happen. Today's episode is a little different. I want to talk about something that's not exactly fun, but it's really real. Grief. Grief is not just about losing someone we love, although that's often where we think it starts, but it can be the loss of a relationship, it can be the loss of a dream you thought was certain, the loss of a version of yourself that you'll never be again. And if you've been here a while, you know that I'm no stranger to grief, just like the rest of you, and you also know that I'm all about being honest about the messy parts of life and business, because if there's one thing I've learned as a CEO, it's that our personal lives don't just politely wait in the sidelines while we run our companies. When grief hits, it shows up in your work, in your energy, in your focus, and here's the thing. You can't hustle your way out of grief. You can't just slap a positive mindset on and keep going at 100 miles an hour. What you can do, though, is you can make space for the feelings. And you can also build the tiniest habits that help you focus and function when everything else feels overwhelming. And so today, I just want to share the micro habits that have helped me find moments of clarity in seasons of grief. They're not grand gestures. They're small, doable things. And maybe they're the kind of things that you can hold on to when big picture feels heavy. So if you're a hard season right now or you want to tuck these tools away for when you need them, this episode is for you. I used to think before I really, really experienced a period of losing people and losing things and myself sometimes, I used to think that grief was something that like you got over. And society likes to paint that picture, right? Of putting a timeline on grief. And there would be this moment where I would say to myself, okay, I'm healed now. Time to move on, right? It's been too long. Time to move on. But what I've learned is like grief is not this line that you cross. It's this landscape that you learn to navigate. And one of the things that I always say is like, grief doesn't go away. You just learn how to live with it inside of you. And some days the terrain is flat and manageable. Other days you're literally climbing up a hill with no visibility because it just feels like sheets of rain are coming down and you can't see. And for me specifically, grief has shown up in ways that I didn't expect. Like, I would be going about my day, driving down the road, feeling fine, and then all of a sudden, maybe it was a song, a random smell, like even just like a random thought would just pull me under like a riptide. Like, bam. And in those moments, my instinct used to be just power through. Keep working, distract yourself, keep driving. But I realized that ignoring my grief doesn't make it go away. It just buries it. And it'll resurface at like the worst possible times. Sometimes when I'm on a client call. So that's why I sort of shifted my approach in the way that I started thinking about grief. And I started giving myself permission to just slow down and focus on the smallest possible actions that can help me feel grounded again. And so that's where these micro habits come in. When you're grieving, your capacity shrinks. And things that used to feel easy, even just like, I don't know, returning an email, cooking dinner, writing a proposal, they suddenly feel impossible. And that's where these micro habits are so powerful because they strip away the pressure of doing everything and instead ask, what is one small thing I can do right now to feel a little bit better and a little more clear? Micro habits don't fix grief. Nothing does. But they create little anchors and they give you touch points in the day to help you remember, hey, you're still here. You're still moving, even if it's slow. So why is this important and why am I talking about grief? And it's because we are moving into a season for a lot of us, especially if you live in the Midwest, where seasonal depression can come out of nowhere. For me, it starts in October. And I have to start thinking about it in September. And I have to start getting myself into a mode to think about how I'm going to run my business during the winter months. Because life's for our families pretty much beginning the middle of September. With losing my late sister-in-law in 2019. Her birthday was in September. October is usually when the cooler months start coming. And then November sort of starts losing people. And it's very interesting that my life gets really, really candid sometimes during that time. And so I have to figure out little habits and little things to implement into my days so that I can make it through the months. And I used to be kind of quiet, kind of silent about all of this, sort of in my business and in my life. And I'm sharing it with you right now because it's very real and it's very honest. And people go through this all the time. And so one of the first micro habits that's really helped me is like the 1 minute reset. This is where I stand up and I stretch and I take 3 big deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And science aside, whatever, it's really a way of telling your body, like, we are safe in this moment. In this moment, right here, this 1 minute, we are safe. And sometimes I do this before switching tasks or switching client work, especially when my brain feels super scattered and overwhelmed. But there's a thing, and it's very true, that like when we are working, we shallow breathe a lot. And we are actually not getting our brain, sounds really weird, but it's really true. We're actually not getting our brain the amount of oxygen that it actually needs. So taking the time to take these big deep breaths and release them, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, actually helps regulate our body and regulate our brains. So morning sunlight. In Michigan, that is really hard. That is really, really hard. But if it's nice and warm during the summertime, because I work from home, I typically will, when I'm letting the dogs outside, I'll step outside for 5 to 10 minutes and just put my feet in the grass. And if it's super sunny, I'll walk to the mailbox in the afternoon for no reason at all. I don't even know if the mail's run that day, but I will walk to the mailbox just to be out in the sunlight, right? And so I just make sure to step outside for like 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. It's free. Sunlight is free, you guys. It's simple, and it signals to my brain that like you're here, like you've made it another day. And it helps regulate sleep, when grief is messing with your nights. So morning sunlight is always a big 3. Morning sunlight is always a big, big thing. The 3-item list. If you missed last week's podcast episode, I will list it for you below, but it's the 3-item list. So when I'm in a heavy, heavy season, I do my big 3, and sometimes I only do my big 3. And some days it's literally just send the invoice, do a grocery run, feed myself some protein. Like some days that's enough. I don't need to be doing all the other stuff. And that's okay. The other micro habit that I do is daily gratitude. But I make it even more simple than that. So instead of forcing myself to write pages and pages and pages of journal entries, I jot down one thing that I'm grateful for each day. One thing. And sometimes, you guys, sometimes, even on the hardest days, it's as small as my coffee was hot this morning. Cool. Like sometimes that's just what it is. And that's okay. And then my last micro habit is the done list. And again, it's in the episode that I talked about last week. But in grief, it's really easy to feel like you're doing absolutely nothing. But when you have a done list, it proves otherwise. Seeing, like on the done list, I paid the electric bill. I watered the plants. I texted my friend. It's a reminder that you're still existing. You're still showing up. You're doing the absolute best that you possibly could for that day. And that's enough. One of the hardest lessons that I learned in grief is this. You don't have to hold it all together. You can let things drop. You can say no. You can miss a deadline. But you can also decide that the priority today is you. Not inbox, not the content schedule, not the 5-year plan, not the to-do list. But grief has taught me that the people who matter will understand. And the ones that don't, well, their opinion was never going to build your healing anyway. So if you're walking through grief right now, I just want you to hear me say this. You're not broken because you can't operate at full speed. You're actually a human. But these micro habits that I've shared, the 1-minute reset, get your morning sunlight, do your top 3 list, have some simple gratitude, and make sure you write down your done list. They're not about fixing us. They're actually about giving us small lifelines to hold on to when we can swim again. And if all you do today is drink a glass of water and breathe for a minute, that's still something. Grief will change you, but it doesn't have to take you. And even in the middle of it, you can take one small step forward. Hey friend, thanks for hanging out with me today. If something in this episode clicked for you, I want you to shoot me a DM over on Instagram. The link is in the show notes. Let's chat about how you're making the messy middle work for you. If you loved what you heard, would you mind sharing this episode with a friend who needs to hear it too? And drop a quick review if you don't mind. It helps get the word out, and I appreciate it more than you know. Catch you in the next one.